Hello everyone. Before starting, I would like to say, para mi gente que habla español, con mucho esfuerzo logré conseguirle subtítulos en español a este video. Así que si de alguna manera te ayudan a entender el mensaje o los necesitas, actívalos en la configuración de aquí abajo. Para aquellos que se preguntan por qué, si soy venezolana y mi lengua materna es el español, hago estos videos en inglés, la respuesta es simple. Desde el 2017 he vivido en lugares donde inglés es el habla principal. Y a través de estos videos quiero llegarle a la mayor cantidad de gente que sea posible. La posibilidad de que alguien que hable español entienda el inglés es mucho mayor a la que el caso contrario se dé. Así que por eso la mayoría de las cosas que comparto las comparto en inglés. Pero prometo que eso no siempre será así. Anyways, back to this. Considering all the things that had been going on in society, I had decided to take some time off of these videos and take advantage of the time that we had to work a lot on myself. But on July 10th, it was exactly 1 year since my injury occurred. And on July 21st, I reached 9 months of post-surgery recovery. So I said, that's enough. I want to share more of my progressions and the things that I've been learning over this time. First, let me give you a recap. To clear things a little bit, I tore my right ACL on July of last year, but I did not get an accurate diagnosis until late August, and that's why my surgery was done in October. Now, my rehab began the moment that I found out that I needed surgery. I began to do some daily stretches and exercises to improve my flexibility, keep my muscles activated, and lose the least muscle mass that I could, which was really important for my progressions the first couple of weeks after surgery. Since the beginning, my doctor told me we would aim to a 9 to 12 month recovery. So since that moment, I knew that would put me back into the course sometime around this summer. November and December, month 1 and 2 after surgery, were tough but progressive months. The first couple of weeks I had a lot of pain, my whole leg was really swollen, and of course I needed assistance for almost everything. But it was precisely because of that seeing how day by day I was able to bend or extend my knee a little more felt like huge progressions. Over this time, we focused on regaining muscle contraction and reducing the stiffness of my leg. I was able to stop using my crutches the second week after surgery and started to slowly walk with my knee brace on. And finally, despite I could not stand up for long periods of time, I got my first shots up. By the end of last year, I had recovered my functional range of motion, which is what you need to do daily activity, and both swelling and pain had significantly decreased. So over January and February, months 3 and 4, we focused on improving balance and coordination and began strengthening. I kept on working on my upper body strength, reducing the hardness and tenderness of my scar, and slowly progressed my lower body exercises according to how I felt. Also, I was lucky to get access to a pool, so I started swimming and jogging inside the water, which really helped me to regain confidence on my knee and improve overall mobility. And on the court, I began to work on stationary dribbling and shooting a little more often. Then, month 5 and 6 came, March and April, Corona time. Here's where things were supposed to get really fun. The main focus over this time was to work on plyometrics and agility, which is like jumping and cutting exercises, and I was supposed to begin to do a lot more things on the court. I knew my workouts were gonna start to look a little more like they used to before, so I was really looking forward into this stage. But needless to say, the limitations of the pandemic took all that excitement away. The frustration I felt because I could not get to a gym or get the coaching that I was hoping for, and the negativity that was going around society took me to a low emotional point. I had very little motivation to do anything. The feeling of completely stopped working and progressing was even worse though. So as the rest of the world, I decided to continue to work and do all I could from home. However, my eagerness to begin to do things as I used to before led me to progress my workouts a little too quick. I basically went from jumping 1 or 2 inches to knees to my chest. And to that, my knee responded. I began to feel some discomfort that I knew was not normal, and I got really scared. But good news were, after chatting with my doctor and my therapist, I learned that what had happened was a completely normal response of my body to such a rapid progression. So I rested, recognized my weakest areas at that moment, and restructured how it would work moving forward. Despite the emotional toll that those days had on me, they were by no chance all their obstacles. Instead, they were opportunities for me to learn the little details that I needed to work on in order to have the best recovery I can. Now I completely see and understand that it is true that sometimes we need to take a couple of steps back in order to move forward in the right direction. So if you're going through a process like this, never ever forget that patience is key. Embrace the process one day at a time and make sure you listen to your body always. With that now in mind, through months 7 and 8, I focused on gradually progressing my training and began to do on-court basketball workouts as it was possible. With the weather getting nicer, I began to run a couple of times a week and worked on my strength and dribbling from home. But as soon as access to courts was available, I went to put some shots up and began to finally work on my game again. Getting to see and real experience that I was capable of doing a lot more now helped me to gain confidence on my knee day by day. And all of that leads up to today, month 9 after surgery. I am now fully focused on improving my speed and strength and increasing the intensity of my workouts to be ready to return to competition. Getting to do all of this again feels amazing. But beyond that, I am so happy to see the long way that we've come through. And I say we because I haven't been here alone. Now I appreciate each moment on the court way much more and step into each workout with all the energy and enthusiasm that I can. Without any tournaments or competition coming soon, I will continue to work on the last details on my rehab. But my doctor has given me green light to begin to gradually return to the court, and I will see him one more time for his final clearance. Now, before I wrap this up, I would like to share some of the biggest lessons that have come along this way, because I'm sure they could help somebody else that might be going through something like this. So besides being patient, I would like to highlight 3. First, no recovery journey or any journey towards a big goal occurs in a straight line. None. And as much as I was warned about the ups and downs that would come through this process, I did not come to fully understand this until I lived it. The ups and downs that come are both physical and psychological. And the days that we just want to give up come more often than we would like. But that is exactly why having the right support and motor is key to keep on pushing. And that takes me to point number 2. Along the way of your journey, make sure you know the why behind what you do, because that is probably our biggest motor. I think this year has made it really clear that life is unexpected. Just as with this injury, one day you do something and the other day you don't know. And thanks to that, I came to understand that what we do might change over time, and often by things that we can control. But why we do what we do should never ever change. And realizing that for me was a game changer. Yes, I have not given up on my dream of playing college basketball, but that's no longer why I keep pushing through this injury. My why is to use what happens in my life to positively impact those that I can, to inspire others not only to pursue their dreams but to live purposely, knowing that what they do matters. And lastly, point number 3, please do yourself a favor and do not compare yourself with others, because comparison is our biggest enemy. With so much time in our hands during this quarantine, it was really easy for me to spend hours on social media. And when I did so, unconsciously I would compare my situation to that of other athletes that I would see online. Or even worse, compare my recovery journey to that of other players that have gone through our recovery as well. And I would feel less about myself. But I failed to realize that those little thoughts have a snowball effect. So they kept on rolling and getting bigger to the point that I would even feel a failure. But when I hit that point, I stopped and I asked myself, am I really failing, or am I just focusing on the wrong thing? What if I'm actually given 1,000 other opportunities that I'm not seeing only because I'm fixing my eyes on my limitations? It was like I was looking at the glass of my life half empty instead of half full. That's when I said I have to change my perspective. I decided to stop focusing on the things that I did not have and turn my attention to the opportunities that this injury is presenting in my life. We are all created with our unique plan and purpose, and just as our fingerprints, each of our stories is completely different. And it's up to us to decide what perspective we're gonna take in the story that one day we will tell. But people, regardless of what we do, what really matters is not how good we are compared to others, but rather what we decide to do with our own story. And that is exactly why I share mine. I want to demonstrate that obstacles are only obstacles if you perceive them as such. And for sure, life will continue to hit us hard. But with the right perspective, when we fall, we will fall forward. Anyways, I hope this spoke to you in any way. And if you know anybody who is going through a recovery or a tough time that could benefit from listening to this video, please do not hesitate in sharing it. As I always say, thank you for being part of my journey. I look forward to continue to share more updates about my return to the game. But for now, I hope you like this video. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.